They look like strings of pearls floating in a crystal clear ocean, but the expression trouble in paradise could have been invented for this place. The Maldives is more than 350,000 people, may be the first to feel the climate change pain. People whose lives have always depended on the sea, but who now live in fear the predicted sea level rise caused by global warming will simply wipe their country off the map. The president of the Maldives is famous for being blunt.
We've had it. There's no debate, there's no question. If it's the upper limits, we've really had it.
No place in the Maldives is higher than 7 feet 10 inches above sea level. 80% of the land lies 3 feet or less above the waves. And sea levels are predicted to rise by as much as 23 inches this century, according to the UN's climate change panel. Other, more recent studies using newer data have warned the world's oceans may rise even higher. Even the least bad scenario for sea level rise would have the place looking like this. Worse predictions would have the place looking like this. Or worst of all, like this. Which is why President Nasheed decided to make as big a splash as possible to publicize the threat. He held a cabinet meeting underwater.
Well, that's the bottom line, isn't it? Underwater. That's where we will end up. In many senses, that might be where we might be having our cabinet meetings in the future.
So you were practicing.
So this is a little bit of what you may be having to experience in the future.
The Maldives have already had a taste of disaster. The 2004 tsunami swept over these islands, killing close to 100 people. But what happens to the people here if the oceans rise up and stay? Not to mention to the billion or so others around the world also living in low-lying countries. Here they call it Plan B, a fund to transplant the entire population somewhere, a new ark. India, Sri Lanka, even Australia have been mentioned.
Maybe we might become boat people. A whole lot of us would die. Whoever who survives might be floating somewhere. We are really actually talking about our own grandchildren. And if you cannot provide for them, there's very little point of having a government now.
1, 2, 3, go.
In fact, the effects of climate change are already being felt. Marine biologists say an El Nino-style warming of the seas a decade ago caused a mass kill-off of the coral reefs that protect the islands.
Eventually, you will end up with less and less sand around the beaches of the islands.
And less islands.
More and more erosions, yeah.
Some resorts here are already trying to cut their own carbon output, in line with President Nasheed's call for the country to set an example by becoming carbon neutral by the year 2020. But for a place so dependent on tourists flying in from thousands of miles away and traveling to the outlying resorts by seaplane, carbon neutrality is but a dream at this stage.
Enjoy it while you can. Come to the Maldives. One tour operator actually mentioned that in its slogan.
Is that right?
Come to the Maldives while you still can, while they're still there.
The Maldives have become the canary in the global warming coal mine. But next we'll be somewhere that may be among the first places to begin to feel the benefits. This is Greenland, where global warming may just be the beginning of possibilities. Tomorrow, economic growth in the land of melting glaciers, the ones causing these waters to rise and rise. Mark Phillips, CBS News, the Maldives.